Shalom, everybody. Our last sentence in the last shiur, was a question. After we spoke about ethics and what is ethics all about, we asked, is there something special in Jewish ethics? And the question is actually divided into two parts. First of all, as a fact, and second, can we share it with the whole world? Do we have any kind of a message to the whole world? The answer to the first question is, by definition, yes. Why? First of all, because ethics is related everywhere in the world to culture, to history, to everything that has influence on the fact that this is actually connected or related to human being behavior. And human beings are influenced by many, many aspects of their existence. So therefore, there is something special in the place you live, in the history, in the culture, or whatever, that actually has a lot of effect on your ethical opinions. Don't forget that we said that when we are asking the question, is it the right thing to do? The answer will start according to who? And who is the authority? So therefore, when there are different authorities, and authorities can be culture and environment and history and whatever, so therefore the answers will be different. But in Jewish ethics, there's another aspect, a very, very active one, very, very strong one. And that is that most of the sources of Jewish ethics are religious. I mean, they include in their answers also the relationship not only between people to people, not only, as we say, ben adam lechavero, but also ben adam lamakom. And that means that God, Hashem, the divine, is part of the ethical discussion and part of the ethical agreements and part of the ethical law. So therefore, definitely the answer will be yes. And there is something special in Jewish ethics. But actually, we can go and deal with two different steps. First of all, to prove that there is ethics in Judaism. And that means that, as we said last time, there is a structure of ethics. The structure means there are laws, there are principles, there are ethical codes, or whatever. Do they exist in Yahadut, in Judaism? And again, the answer is obvious. Yes, they do exist. The Torah is full of ethical laws. Not only the 10 commandments in Aseret HaDibrot, lo tirtzach, don't murder, lo tin'af, lo tignov, don't steal, but also everywhere. For instance, veger lo toneh velo tilchatzeno. You should attitude, your approach towards the Gentiles, to the people that converted, should be different, because you lived in Egypt and you know what is the meaning of living in Egypt, and there is a special order in the Torah. You should keep a human behavior, and you should not press on him and you not intimidate him, because you know what is the meaning of being intimidated. You had the experience in Egypt. Is this not an ethical law? And lo telech achil ba'amecha, don't say bad things on people. We'll come to it soon. This is also a kind of an ethical law. So definitely, no doubts, there are ethical laws in the Torah. But not only laws, also principles, like ma shesanu alecha al ta'aseh lechavercha. That means the things that you hate, when people do it to you, don't do it to your friend. And that's a very, very simple ethical code. And it's very essential in Yahadut, because the story in the Gemara says that when someone came to convert, he actually asked Hillel to teach him the whole Torah on one foot. And Hillel HaZaken taught him, this is the whole Torah. On one foot, go continue and study. So therefore, if you don't have this kind of behavior, you are not ethical according to Jewish life. So these are only examples. You can find many, many kinds of ethical laws, of ethical rules, of ethical legislations, of ethical ways of behaving, of saying this is appropriate or this is not appropriate, and in instance, many of those kinds you can find everywhere. According to the Ramban, one of the biggest sages in the 13th century, he said that there is actually a general law, Ve'asita hayashar ve'hatov be'enei Hashem Elokecha. That means behind or over all the laws, all the legislations, all the rules in Yahadut, there's something is above. You should do the good things in God's eyes, and you should behave, you should be full of dignity as a general law. And the Ramban explains that the need, the necessity of this kind of law is because someone can keep and observe all the mitzvahs and can observe all the ethical laws in Yahadut, but still remain not ethical. Because you can be a bastard even if you do everything that is according to the Torah. So therefore, after the Torah gave all the orders as much as she could, she cannot include every ethical aspect of life in the Torah. And in Jewish life there is a general law that includes everything. Do hayashar v'hatov, the straight thing, the right thing, and the good thing in the eyes of God. So the answer of the first question, is there Jewish, does a Jewish religion has an ethical code or ethical laws or ethical rules? The answer is definitely yes. I know that years ago people asked, I must know how much time was over. I know that years ago people asked this question. We know that there are laws, but does Yahadut have, does Judaism has ethical principles? I must admit that I can't understand the question. The Yahadut is really full of them, and I only gave a few kinds and a few simple, a few samples of Jewish ethical codes. There are plenty. It's full of that. I can say that the identification card of our father, of Avraham Avinu, is actually Ki Da'ativ. I know him. God said, "Leman asher yitzaveh et banav v'et beto acharav la'asot v'shamru derech Hashem la'asot tzedakah u'mishpat." And this is actually the identification card of our religion. To do tzedakah. Tzedakah means justice, charity, umishpat, and behave according to laws and behave according to ethical codes. So the answer, is there Jewish ethics? Is there ethics in Judaism? The answer is very simple. The answer is yes. But the question that I'm asking in this lecture is the opposite question. That is, okay, we do agree that there is a Jewish approach towards ethics, but is there something special in Jewish ethics? That means when we'll compare the Jewish law or the Jewish ethical principles with the ethical principles or the ethical laws in Germany or in the UK or in the United States of America, will we find something different? Will we find something that actually Yahadut says that it's more ethical to behave according to our way, and there will be a kind of even criticism towards other ethical solutions or rules, and above that, it's a kind of a message that Judaism can share with the whole world and try to promote and to enhance the ethical behavior in the whole world. This question, we must understand, is much more difficult because now we have to go down into details, and dealing with details is to check constantly this issue, to compare, to make it parallel, and to check, are there different ideas and principles? When you start doing that, you realize that the answer is yes, not with a capital Y. That means doing good things actually in the whole world are a kind of the same way of behaving, but in details and in a special way when there is a dilemma. When it's dilemma, when there are two kinds or two ways of thinking and two ethical principles, and you have to balance between them, then you can find the special way of thinking of Yahadut. I'll demonstrate that with two, I think, major examples. One is the Jewish approach or the Jewish attitude towards the right of the public to know or freedom of expression. Freedom of expression and the right of the public to know is an essential issue, not only in democracy, but also in ethics. The fact that everyone can express his opinions, can have the freedom of expression. Not only that, but the freedom to know everything is a very, very essential thing in the whole world. But it must be, and in the whole world, we do agree, it must be balanced with two other ethical principles. One is the idea that it's very not ethical, it's against ethical rules to insult someone. When you insult someone publicly, you actually sometimes do something that is worse than murder. Because the most important thing that the person has is his name, is his dignity, is his honor, and you actually are damaging it. The second principle is what we call lashon hara, the bad tongue. That means there's a Jewish law, and I think also in the whole world, that you are not permitted to say bad things publicly on someone else. What's the difference in Jewish life? The difference in Jewish life and in the Jewish law is that according to the halacha, even if what you are saying is the truth, you are not permitted to say it publicly. Lashon hara doesn't is not related only to bad things that are a lie, like everywhere in the world, but Jewish halacha, that means Jewish ethics, means that even if there are bad things that are the truth, you are not permitted to say it publicly. Now, we must balance between those two. Why? Because being very strict with the halacha of lashon hara, keeping silent, don't say bad things about people, and not insulting, may cause and may create a society where people that are bad people, evils, will get a big prize. Everyone that will criticize them publicly will be attacked. You are violating the halacha of lashon hara. Everyone that will say loud things will say you are doing something very bad, insulting someone. So therefore the halacha is balancing between your commitment to observe the halacha in both sides. One is not to say lashon hara. Second, to confront crime, to confront evils. The balance point is different in Judaism. In the whole world, actually, the most important thing will be freedom of choice and the right of the public to know, and therefore very bad things will say publicly. In Judaism, it will be more balanced. And maybe this is one of the things we should share with the whole world, sensitivity and understanding that you cannot go very far with freedom of choice, of expression and freedom and the right of the public to know, because in the other hand, it's lashon hara and it's prohibited to insult people publicly. That's one example. The second example is in bioethics. In bioethics, there are very, very, you can count many differences between Jewish ethics and the whole world ethics. Because Jewish ethics sees abortions not as a simple way of confronting an unexpected or unwanted pregnancy. I can't say, and I want to emphasize, I can't say that abortions under any circumstances is prohibited. That's not right. But the Jewish approach towards human being, the holiness of life, the fact that someone that is in the womb of a woman has already rights, have a kind of personality, is very strong. So therefore, we are sharing with the whole world something different. from different aspects, the idea that every human being was created in God's image, therefore doing all kinds of ways in order to short their lives, even when we suffer. Again, I can't say that Judaism says that you have to do everything in order to exist. There are many points where we say, okay, enough is enough, and you can say, I can't anymore. But doing active things in order to kill people as if it's part of charity or part of mercy or whatever, this is something that Jewish bioethics denies or rejects. And these are only two examples, Lashon Hara and bioethics. I can talk about commercial ethics, that according to Yahadut, also the seller, also the consumer, not only the customer has rights. And therefore you should balance between those two ethical principles, and more in all kinds of aspects you can express and you can demonstrate the idea that there is something special in Jewish ethics. So therefore, what we're going to do in the next lectures is trying to take a few issues, maybe the first two of them will be our two examples, and learn them down into details, and try to balance between different ethical aspects, different ethical rules, try to understand what is the sources of the Jewish approach, why should it be that way, why do we think that this is the right thing to do from the ethical point of view, and therefore we will be able to demonstrate that there is something special in Jewish ethics, and there is something special in Jewish rules, that maybe this should be a message to the whole world. This is our way, maybe you can share it with us, and together we'll try to do the whole world a better world as a part of our religion. It's not only as a way of human being thinking, but an essential part of our religion is to make this world a better world, an ethical world, and the world that is following the way of God, as if believe that his main reason or his main message in the creation is do this world as a better world. Goodbye.